Today's video is going to focus on just auditing your current accounts, guys, and making sure that you are optimizing for conversion, meaning how are you getting people off of social and into your database, whether that's a CRM. Hopefully you have a CRM, if not, even if it's an Excel spreadsheet for now. But we can't forget and lose sight on the fact that as we are creating content, and yes, right now it is free, it's free distribution, but make no mistake that these platforms like Facebook and Instagram, they were basically like their work slaves for them to then be able to create ads in between the content that we're creating, and we don't own it. So my concern is, after doing some audits on some recent clients who have joined us, they didn't know even about the link in bio concept, nor did they have what I call as lead magnets. So as I was going through and looking at some older clients, I went to your link in bios. And the first thing that I want you to spot check, guys, is A, do you have one? And if it's just your normal website link, then you are losing a lot of potential business. That you're not creating an easy and soft kind of like lob for people to interact with you. Because if they go to your website, chances are most websites are glorified brochures for people to just then click apply. But what if people aren't ready to apply? That is why I use, and I've recommended before, something called Linktree. So link, L-I-N-K, tree, T-R-E-E. In fact, I'll pull it up. Linktree is just a micro website that a lot of people use now instead of a full website link. And it's because once you set up your Linktree and you put that URL in all of your bios across social, you could change what's inside of the Linktree with never having to go back to all your profiles and changing the URL, because it's almost like a Google slide where it's live changing without you having to go to every single place. So let me show you what this looks like, because I do still have quite, and it doesn't have to be Linktree, but essentially a micro website will do. You can get the free version. They also have a paid version. I personally do, I think it's like $12 a month. And I know all of these like $7, $10 a month subscriptions can really add up. But every week I get insights and analytics to see how many taps I'm getting per link in the actual Linktree. So this is what it looks like. You've probably seen this in a lot of bios that when you're on social yourself, but if you just go to linktr.ee, you can then sign up for free. And essentially, in fact, I'll just go ahead and pull up Aaron. Hopefully he doesn't mind that I use him as my example. But this was a gentleman that I met at the Shayla's event, and he was also at our Exactly What to Say event this week. And at first glance, when he asked me to look at his profile, some of the first things I look at is A, the profile picture. Can I see your eyes? Is it a bright visual, like your face? You can really see the face, not the side of your face because you're petting a dog, or too much in the profile photo. Like that impression over and over and over, we want to be your face. And he's got a great headshot there. I then look at his bio. Does it clearly state what he does and who it's for? And it does. I will say this part, so this name title tag, this is where I would put, again, it kind of depends on how people are referred to you. So for example, the mortgage nerd. Most people are going to search mortgage nerd, let alone spell Denise Donahue correctly. Nobody could spell our last name correctly. But if someone's referring to you, like your name or your team, that's important to consider. And know that your title tag is different than your handle. This is his handle. But your title tag is very SEO search, which is SEO means search engine optimization. So I would add a vertical bar here. And then I would put, I think he's based out of Utah mortgage professional, or Utah lender, because you have to think of how do people search on social when they're looking for a service. So you get more characters here. So just put a space, vertical bar. In fact, let's see. here's a perfect example. This was going to be here's a category that would be considered an A+ student. So see how she has her name, vertical bar, and then this is very SEO friendly, okay? The next thing, at least he has a link in the bio, which will help us look at his insights to see how many taps he's getting. Unfortunately, when you click on the link in bio, this is exactly where it takes you. There's no in between or no way for him to capture name and email without applying. And people usually, when they're on social, they're beginners. They're just starting research. And this is like, you're asking way too soon, too fast to go and get an app pulled. Maybe they just want to schedule a 15-minute discovery call with you. Maybe they just want to download an ebook or, some kind of cheat sheet that explains to them how to shop and what to look for with interest rates. Okay. So this, although he gets, some points for having a link in the bio, it's not optimized for conversion. And then when I was looking at his feed, he has one pinned post, and I would prefer the pinned post because this is what people are going to see regardless of when they ever come to your feed. Like, what is it that without a doubt you want them the first post, and you can pin up to 3. So it's a good idea of whatever is most important to you right now. Sometimes we have an epic, oh my gosh, I just saw this. We have great content, but it was like posted months ago, and you want it to be at top of mind. So now you can pin them here. Okay. The last thing that I wanted to point out is these videos, I can tell they're a video because of this symbol. There's no hook. It doesn't tell me what this video is about to entice me to click on it and watch. And that's because I'm on the regular news feed, which is how people start their journey when they're on social. Sometimes you post a video, and yes, it'll be in a vertical view when they're on and they're scrolling. But if they click your name to go to your profile, which is typically the journey, that is your first impression, max conversion, like quick judgment. What are they going to do when they land on your profile? First, they're going to look at, is the piece of content that baited them to go to your profile in the first place, is that similar to the type of content that you consistently post? If it's not, if it seems incongruent, they may not follow you because that's what enticed them, was the bait that you used to get them there in the first place. That's why we want to have content strategies and content pillars. 2, they're going to read, like, okay, they're going to judge your profile picture. They're going to read a little bit about who you are. Is there any credibility in there of how long you've been doing this or how many families you've served? They may click on the link in your bio, but they're usually going to scroll. And then that is going to determine, do I follow this person? Do I message them? Do I engage in any way or not? And then the last thing that I wanted to point out is the fact that he doesn't have any highlights yet. And the good news is all of this can be fixed. So if you're in the same boat and you're looking at your feed, this can all be fixed, okay? And I have videos explaining all of this. But you'll see Instagram is real, like your profile is almost the new website. So what used to be the hamburger lines, in fact, I'll just show you here. So if I go to Allison, these are the highlights. So Q&A, and notice how her highlight stickers, it's very on brand. But when you think of your old school websites, you would have different landing pages. Maybe it was home loans, maybe it was frequently asked questions, testimonials. That is what I mean by highlights, because this removes the friction of someone having to scroll and trying to find, okay, if I'm a first-time homebuyer, what am I looking for? Like, which of these would help me? People are lazy. They don't want to have to search for that long. Okay. So this is where you can create playlists, so to speak. They're called highlights in Instagram. They're created from your stories, and it allows people to binge watch. So if I click on homeowners, it's now going to show me anything that she has compartmentalized as homeowners. Okay. So let's look at, so that was Aaron Butler. This was kind of your, let's say a C grade. Okay. Now let's look at Ron. Ron was another one that was in our session this past week, and he has his link tree here. Now I would encourage him to really consider. So when you look at Ron's link tree, the people love this because it's clear, to the point. It's tap and click. I don't have to search and try to find my way around the website, which can be really confusing. But if I need to book a quick Zoom meeting with Ron, if I want rate updates, so how you title these, meet RS in office. Okay, well, what could that be for? Is that like a 15-minute buyer consultation, discovery calls, that an agent discovery call? So how you label these are important. And then you also want to include some kind of lead magnet meaning a home buyer guide, home buyer ebook, join our newsletter and just make sure it's a high value newsletter, or sign up for monthly home evaluation. That's what I mean by lead magnet, something that they can click and that you can reference in your post, that in exchange for that free piece of content, you're getting their name, number, and email address. Because we want to make sure that we are going from content to revenue or to client. Like, how do we get them? We want the visibility on the platforms, but it's not just about the views, the likes, or the follows. We really need to convert them to eventually some kind of database or email list so that we can stay in front of them in the event that the platform gets shut down, like what we're hearing with TikTok, which is probably going to happen around January, guys, that TikTok will be banned. And I have a lot of clients kind of freaking out because that's where you get a lot of your business. This is why I will say you need to be everywhere every day with the ultimate goal of creating conversations in the DMs and converting them to some kind of email list, whether that's through a lead magnet or just getting them to sign up for a free home buying webinar that you're hosting. Something you need to get them from the platform to your own database. The only other item of feedback that I saw with Ron is Instagram is probably the most particular of making sure your content fits. So obviously they started off as a photo sharing app, and you can see the size dimensions do not work. It's not following their guidelines. So there's going to be a little bit of a penalty for that. You can also see with his real cover pages, he doesn't have a hook, and the hook needs to be, I have found what typically works best is either when you're avoiding a pain or gaining a benefit. So maybe it's the top 10 cheapest neighborhoods in DFW. So cheapest, that's an emotional trigger word. Top 10, that's a list. That's, again, most of the people drawn to your content may be at the beginner level, and some of you are presenting as if they're, PhDs. But regardless, if they were to land on his feed, I don't know if I would be like, okay, this guy's a pro when he is a pro. Because this content, and this is what happens a lot of times when we try to create content and just mass produce for all platforms without considering resizing. Okay. So again, I would also then look at this and say, what's the content strategy? Is there, like, what is it that you want to be known for? Is it clear of what you do and who you serve? Okay, so this would be, we've got a little bit of work to do here, Ron. And then kind of my A student was Allison. So she's got her pinned post. Okay, she's got 3 of them at the top. You can tell her bio is optimized. It's very clear of who she serves. It's SEO optimized for her title tag. Her link in bio, if you look at that, she has a course for loan officers that they can take for free. She has a first step to buying a home. These are easy lead magnets, guys. If you're ready to get pre-approved, you can click here. If you just want a new client brochure, or if you want to know how much your home is worth. Not too many options where you're overwhelmed. She also has these contact buttons where you can connect with her on other platforms or email her directly. So you can see how she's titled these, the intent behind them. Again, she could change, like once this course is over, she could change it on the back end in Linktree, and she doesn't have to worry about changing it here in her bio. So ask yourself, do you have highlights set up that almost matches potentially what your client would find value in binge watching. And so it could be first-time homebuyer content. It could be home selling and buying content. It could be just testimonials, stories, proof, evidence. It could be some team culture and fun, or frequently asked questions / terminology, vocabulary, things like that. But notice there's not too many where it's overwhelming and I have to slide. And then as you, kind of go through your account, is it sized appropriately? Like this one, her hook is cut off. And don't worry about it aesthetically always looking perfect with like color codes. It is important for like brand recognition. She definitely looks like a professional. But here's what I'm talking about, where she has her hook centered. It's not too many words, but it's in frame. Now, if I were to click on it, see how this is now vertical. And this could have been just a B-roll video. So B-roll is different than A-roll. So A-roll is like you're talking head videos. B-roll could be you just recording yourself, at the computer. And I like to do, several different B-roll footages from all over different places that either I speak at or in the office, me talking on the phone, me looking like I'm reading my email on my phone, and I save them in an album on my phone so that I can easily upload them and do text overlay. So you could do, usually the more text you have on a B-roll video, you get people to stop and read it longer, and it counts as a reel. I wouldn't do those for longer than 7 seconds. 7 seconds is kind of the sweet spot. So you either have a lot of text on the B-roll footage or a captivating hook that convinces people to want to read a long caption. It's either one or the other. And just kind of start playing with that, where it doesn't always have to be talking head videos. And it could be you like walking to your mailbox and someone's recording you walk to your mailbox. Just you in your everyday life is creating that relatability. And remember, relatability plus empathy equals trust. People want to know, how am I like you? Do we value the same things? So you don't always have to get your hair and makeup done, or for the men, feel like you have to be in like this 3-piece suit. Do it just of your everyday life and living, okay? So that's what I really wanted to hit on today for your coaching message. Is we're almost at mid-year. Okay, we have 1 week left of May. And my concern is, for some of you who maybe missed some of those videos of when I went over how to optimize your bios and why you should, we need to look for consistency across platforms. Is your title tag or handle consistent on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram? We need consistency. Is your bio consistent across? There are still some bios that I see where it has your old company listed or your old company website in your link in bio. That's even worse. That means they're clicking on that link and they're going elsewhere. That's not a good first impression. And believe it or not, most of us use our social for that social proof, to control the narrative of when someone refers a client to me and they go and they look me up, what is it they're going to think and feel? Do you look like a pro? Do you sound like a pro? Is there warmth? Okay, are you talking about things beyond just what a ChatGPT prompt could answer? Because ChatGPT is going to start being the #1 source where a lot of people go to get answers. So how are you showing that your advice makes a difference, that you give a different level of advice than a ChatGPT? And then remember, knowing exactly what to say is important, but it's more important to know how and when to say it, because people don't always hear what you say. And there's word choice that we can use that triggers emotion and can speak to the subconscious mind and really help people get into decision-making process, because there's too many sitting on the sidelines in indecision, which to me is the worst place to be. They're either overwhelmed or confused. And so what have we not done and broken down in an easier way for them to be able to make the best decision for them, not for you, for them. So I hope this helps. I know we have a long weekend, and I hope you all have a great long weekend. But before you do your content for next week, go ahead and plan 30 minutes, put it on your calendar. You have to schedule it so it gets done. Audit your social media first impressions. And if you haven't set up a link tree just yet, set up a link tree. But it's not difficult. You can do the free one. And we need to really, if you guys need help with creating lead magnets, like maybe you don't have a home buyer guide that they could download or ebook, or maybe you don't have like a home bot for them to sign up for home evaluations, then let us know, because we need to start developing some of those things that you can reference or that people could go to. And again, before they're allowed to get that piece of information, we want to collect their name, number, and email. But you need a strategy. We'll talk about that next week, at what happens and what do you do with that information. Because we also have clients that have now, they've graduated to this point. They're collecting the names and numbers and emails, but they don't really have a strategy of what to do after that. They may DM them and try to reach out like maybe once, but there's no consistent nurturing after that point. And that's where, if you look at our weekly battle plans, you'll see on Fridays, that's the intent of sending a one-to-many mass email, because email marketing is not dead, guys. This is where, if you follow the plan, we're intentionally putting every little item on there for the whole month, that if you executed between pop buys and mailers and emails, like all of this matters from an omni approach, where you're hitting them up and you're seen everywhere. And that's what we want. We want people to be like, gosh, I see you everywhere. But we also want to make sure it's valuable content, so they don't ever see your name and then just dismiss it thinking it's just fluff. That's why every week we create content, because things change from week to week and we don't want to be tone deaf. So usually there's at least one post you could have made within the week that could be a great one-to-many idea for your Friday emails. So if this was helpful, please let us know. If you're stuck and you need help optimizing your bios, we only offer that for clients. So just send us an email. We can send you the list of whether you need help with just one or with 5. We do charge a small fee for that, because usually we have to go back and forth a little bit. We may have to text you authorization code so that it allows us access into your account. But if your shit's not high and tight, guys, let's get it high and tight over the long weekend. So y'all be safe. Take care. Let's crush it.